Hi everyone, this is Junius. Um, I wanted to talk about this evening how I've changed over the past 5 years. I made a video recently about my experience in grad school and how hard it was for me and how much trouble I got in for basically just being myself. I used to be this wild, wacky, inappropriate, unfiltered, crazy motherfucker with absolutely no filter. And because of all the trouble that I got into in grad school, I've changed. Now I'm quiet and reserved. And I recently wrote a play with the help of ChatGPT. I love ChatGPT. I wrote a personal essay about my experience in grad school, which was shared this evening with my creative nonfiction class. This was the last class this was the last class. There were only 4 classes. And we each got to write a 2,000 word essay. My essay was about 2,200 words. And our teacher, Ernie, was okay with that. And it was all about my experience in grad school from my own perspective. And everybody in the class seemed to really enjoy it. They said my voice, the character was very strong. The voice was very strong. And then it gave them, it wasn't necessarily about, in order to understand this video, you'll need to listen to, if you want to, you'll need to listen to the other video that I made about my experience getting in trouble in grad school, which I made a couple of weeks ago. But so yeah, they all were like, it wasn't necessarily even about who was right, who was in the right and who was wrong. It was about you. It was about your brain and how you see the world so differently from anyone else. And that you did things that most people would never do. You see the world and you see the world and experience the world in a completely different way from anyone else. And I'm sure because I'm what you would call neuroatypical or neurodivergent, which is a new term that I'm sure many of you have heard of. I'm bipolar. I was diagnosed borderline autistic, which isn't really a real term. I think what you would call it is high functioning autism. I don't really believe that diagnosis because I don't feel autistic. I have a friend who recently told me that they're autistic and they don't seem autistic at all to me. But they said it's because they mask. And if you don't know what masking is, it's you literally like put on a mask when you're in public. If you're autistic or have any other kind of mental health challenge, you put on a mask and you pretend to be this sociable, happy person that you're really not. You might be really introverted in real life. I don't do that. And I've heard from the people that read my short essay this last week and gave me feedback tonight in my class that it's exhausting to mask. And people who mask do what is deemed as socially acceptable. And I didn't do that when I was in grad school, and I didn't do it when I was in college, and I didn't do it throughout my years in the Bay Area. I never masked. If I was sad, if I was upset, everybody knew it. One time I worked at Starbucks, and I made a video about this. Back in 2014, I worked at a store in Franklin, Tennessee, where I'm from. And I lived with my dad. And one of my shift supervisors actually told me during a meeting that she was scared of me. And I was like, what? I'm not scary. And she was like, I'm scared of you because every day that you come into work, you're a different person. Sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're neither. And I never know who's going to come into work. And I was like, that is just normal human behavior. I'm not going to be the same every day when I come in. I'm going to feel differently every day. And because I can't hide it, it's obvious. And a friend of mine was saying, that's called being professional. But I have never, ever been good at being professional or hiding how I'm really feeling at work. I'm pretty much the same in every situation. I'm the same at work. Nowadays I don't work, but I'm the same everywhere. I'm the same in every situation. I'm the same person. And gets me in trouble a lot. So this one-woman show that I wrote a one-woman show about I used ChatGPT. I put a PDF into ChatGPT, and I said, I want to make this into like a 45-minute one-woman show, and it helped me do that. I can't really remember how many pages it is, but I sent it to a couple of my friends. I sent it to one friend, and they were they were pretty critical, and it was pretty hurtful. And it was hurtful because this is such a personal story to me. And the person in this story that's telling the story is me. And it's my experience, so if people are critical of it, it hurts. Plus, I'm just a sensitive person. But other people loved it. I've sent it to a couple of other friends, and they really loved it. One particular friend said that it was like I was taking my voice back. And I feel like that if I ever do find a director and rehearse it for a couple of months, and I think I'll be able to memorize it pretty fast because it's my story. And I've told this story so many times to so many people. Literally everyone that I know knows this. Even strangers know this story. But I've changed. And I'm not the wild, wacky, crazy girl that I used to be. The uninhibited, unfiltered girl that I used to be. I don't have as much fun nowadays. And my sister used to find me very annoying. And nowadays she goes, I wish you were annoying like you used to be. And I was like, I thought you hated how I used to be. I thought I annoyed you. And she was like, yeah, you did annoy me. But I miss it. I was always like, there's just one picture of me in San Diego at Art Lab. This place called Art Lab that was run by one of my first boyfriend. He wasn't really my boyfriend, but he was. And my sister and her husband Thoth performed at Art Lab many times. And my sister was all dressed up in this, her hair was like all over the place, and it was like pink, and she had like a ginormous, she almost looked like Marie Antoinette. She had a headdress that was made of white and pink tulle that like was this high. And she was wearing a pink bra with like gemstones on it, crystals on it, and a big white tulle skirt, and that was it. Like just a bra and a skirt, and that was it. And a whole bunch of jewelry, and all this crazy, beautiful, like clown makeup, fairy princess clown makeup. And I was dressed like a boy, basically, in a big, oversized, button-down blue shirt with my hair short. And I'm like, going like, Goo goo gaga, to her and she's like, zip it, zip it. She's like trying to shut me up because she's just about to go on stage. And that was basically that's how we used to be. She used to dress up in crazy costumes and I would be there annoying her. But she misses that. So in a way, I feel like my teachers in grad school won because they changed me. But other people say that the way that I am now is also called maturing, that I've just matured in the last 5 years. Maybe that's true. But I feel like that if I ever do get to do this show, this one-woman show, which I'm calling Don't Say Nothing, Jamie, which is something that one of my teachers actually said to me. I think that if I ever actually get to perform this, or if I film it with my film acting teacher that I'm taking classes with right now, who used to work in Hollywood, still works in Hollywood. He's a local. Or if I get one of my mentors to direct it, or if I ever get to perform it at a Fringe Festival, like if I ever get to perform it at the San Francisco Fringe Festival, you know, I feel like that will be me taking back my voice. Because I lost my voice. Not literally, but I lost my voice through being in grad school, and my big loud mouth never got me into trouble until I went to grad school. Because they tried to turn me into this professional person that I'm not. And I've never been professional. I never will be. I never was. I don't want to be professional. I don't have to be professional. I don't need to be professional. And whenever I am professional and I'm in a theater setting, it's fucking boring. It's boring as hell. And being myself doesn't mean being unprofessional. It just means having fun. You know, I still show up half an hour before the class or the rehearsal starts, at least 15 minutes before the class or rehearsal starts. I still have my lantern rise before anybody else does. I still do my character analysis and, you know, I do all that stuff. That's very professional. But I have fun. I joke around in rehearsal. I have a good time. And I used to do that when I was in California and when I was in college, but not anymore. I've been in one show in the past 5 years, and I've been back in Nashville for a little over 5 years now. And I've been in this apartment for a little over 3 years now, and I've only been in one show. And it was terrible. I was in Oliver, and I was in the company. I was in the ensemble, and it was terrible. I didn't enjoy it at all. And I think it's because I'm so out of shape, and I had to do a lot of dancing and moving around, and my lower back and my feet really hurt. It was a painful experience, and it just wasn't fun. I felt disposable. I felt like it didn't matter if I was at rehearsal or not. And I honestly wish that I had just dropped out because I didn't get any enjoyment out of it, and I wasn't getting paid for it. And I was being treated like an amateur, and I'm not an amateur. I worked with a bunch of kids, and I don't like kids anyway. So I hope that someday that I can somehow go back to being the wild, wacky, crazy girl that I used to be and say what I think and think what I say. I don't want to be an asshole, but I want to be happy again. I want to be the happy-go-lucky person, the crazy girl that I used to be. So I don't know if I ever will be. But, I mean, just in the videos that I made a decade ago, you can tell how different I used to be. How much more fun and exuberant I used to be. And you can tell now that I'm more reserved and quiet and toned down. even though I'm very enthusiastic, but I'm more relaxed and I keep to myself. I still put my foot in my mouth all the time, but that just kind of goes with the territory. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. I hope that someday I can change. I don't know if I'll ever be able to go back to the girl that I used to be, but here's hoping. Love you.